Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Meet the Irvine Candidates Forum. My name is Chirpan, your MC today. Before we get started, we would like to thank the co-organizers for making today's forum possible. 各位朋友，大家早上好，欢迎大家来到尔湾华人问政会，我是今天的主持人。那在开始之前，我想先感谢一下每个合办社团，他们是南海岸中华文化中心、South Coast Chinese Cultural Center、尔湾中文学校、Irvine Chinese School、金城公益基金会、The Orange Club Foundation、城县华人协会、Chinese American Association of Orange County、城县华人商会、Orange County Chinese American Chamber of Commerce、城县华人商会基金会、Orange County Chinese American Chamber of Commerce Foundation、城县华人联合会 American Orange County Chinese Federation、城县好姐妹 Orange County Chinese Ladies Group、亚美华人老人服务中心 Asian American Senior Citizen Service Center、尔湾华人松柏会 Irvine Evergreen Chinese Seniors Association、城县矫生中心 Orange County Herald Center、国际扶轮会城县分会 Rotary Club of Orange County Digital、飞达教育基金会 ID Max Foundation。 那么我们今天也非常感谢所有合办社团的代表也来到线上。那么如果您听到您的名字呢，可以跟大家挥手致意。南海岸中华文化协会的理事长 Mike Chan、金城公益基金会会长 Dennis Song、 城县华人协会以及华人家长会代表塞尔杨、城县华人商会会长 Danny Chen 以及副会长 Margaret Liu、 城县好姐妹代表安兰、亚美老人中心 Tim Chan、 尔湾华人松柏会 Jerry Chan and 安胡、城县矫生中心义工主任 Sherry 黄、国际扶轮会城县分会会长 Mark Aaron、 IV Max Foundation 和飞达教育联合创办人 Vicky 张。 Thank you all again。 再次感谢各个合办社团的付出。 In this forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce him or herself, 60 seconds to answer questions which are pre-submitted by the participants, and 2 minutes for his or her closing statement. We will hear a 30 seconds warning like this. And when your time is up, you will hear another time. At this time, if you're not a candidate for the Board of Education, please turn off your camera and remain muted during the entire forum. If you have any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat room. And if there is time at the end, we will ask the candidates to address them. 今天的问政会分为3部分。首先，各位候选人有2分钟介绍自己，之后他们会各有1分钟回答我们从您的报名表中收集的问题。最后他们会各自做2分钟的总结陈述。我们会在倒数30秒的时间以及时间到的时候响铃。现在请不是候选人的来宾关掉视频并且保持静音。如果您有任何的问题，可以写在Zoom 的聊天室里面。如果到最后有时间，我们会请候选人作答。As some of you may know, in 2018, the IUSD Board of Education voted to transition to a by-trustee area election method. The board considered all public input on the 6 draft maps before selecting this purple 4 map. This November, the citizens of the respective trustee areas will be electing a member of the IUSD governing board for areas 1, 3, and 5. 那在开始尔湾学区教委候选人政见发表之前呢，请容许我先跟大家说明一下尔湾学区教委的选举方法。在2018年，尔湾学区通过了将选举教委的方式 改为以分区的方式进行，也就是说，每一区的教委由该选区的居民投票选出。尔湾学区将全市划成5区。您现在在荧幕上看到的就是尔湾市教委选区的区域分配图。那么在2018年11月，尔湾学区已经采用此分区图，改选了第2跟第4的选区。那今年的11月将改选的是第1、第3以及第5选区。那由于第1选区寻求连任的现任教委 Lauren Brooks 没有其他的挑战者，因此呢，他会自动当选。Since the only candidate for Area 1 is the current board member, Lauren Brooks, she will be automatically reelected. Lauren, please wave to everyone. Thank you. Okay, now please allow me to introduce the candidates for Area 3. The order of introduction is based on the order of how they're received by the Orange County Register of Voters. 首先，让我们认识一下第3区的候选人，他们是 Bethany Huang, Douglas Euper, Cyril Yu, and Sidney Wu. Here to help us with the process is Ms. Shuping Ying. Shuping has been a long-time volunteer for South Coast Chinese Cultural Association. She's been the former PTA president, and she has been the moderator for our candidates forums for the past several years. 有请问政会的 moderator 舒平。
Good morning, welcome. My name is Shuping Yin. I am your moderator for today. As Chair introduced, I am a long-term supporter of Irvine Chinese School and a lifetime member of SCCA. My children also graduated from Irvine Chinese School. I do not live in Irvine, which means I will conduct an unbiased meeting. I will do my best to pronounce your name correctly. If I pronounce your name incorrectly, I apologize in advance. So you're clear with the order, which Chair already introduced, is as it appears in the Orange County voter registration file. So at this time, I'd like to start first by asking each candidate their 2 minutes opening statement. Let's begin with Ms. Bethany Huang.
大家好, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. My name is Bethany Huang. I was born and raised in Irvine and am a graduate from Canyon View Elementary, Sierra Vista Middle School, and Northwood High School. As a recent graduate from Northwood, I have personally gone through all the aspects and challenges of Irvine education and seen firsthand how students and their families have been directly affected by board policies and decisions. As an intern for the State Senate for 2 years, I have worked with numerous legislators and district representatives on various education issues. Specifically, I have worked on promoting transparency and honest communication in sex education. I heavily value parental rights and believe it should be balanced with faculty opinion as well. I am running because I am passionate about representing Irvine families and teachers in Irvine education. If elected, these are my priorities. I will push for more honest and transparent communication between the board, parents, and students. Especially due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I will make sure to prioritize child health and safety as well as parental concerns about distance learning. I will also allocate funds towards teachers as well as student-led organizations in order to promote student growth. I will focus as well on having stronger visual and performing arts programs to foster teacher and student creativity in the classroom. Irvine needs young, innovative leaders, and our education needs to more accurately reflect the ever-changing dynamics of Irvine families. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Douglas Euper. Sorry.
Thank you. Good morning. I want to thank the South Coast Chinese Cultural Association for the invitation to participate in this forum. My name is Doug Euper. I've lived in Irvine for 20 years. And like you, I wouldn't want to raise my kids anywhere else. I'm a father of 2 sons who attend University High School. They are my life and my passion. I'm running for them and for all the other kids and families in Irvine. I've been a public school teacher for over 20 years at Bolsa Grande High School in Garden Grove. I started a club on my campus called Project Anchor to support an amazing group of doctors and other caring people who provide free medical services to the underserved people of Cambodia. My 2 boys are hoping to start a chapter at University High School this year. My wonderful students have raised around $15,000 to help in the cause, along with volunteering countless hours of community service. Clubs like mine and the many other clubs that operate on our campuses are an example of what our kids and teachers do when they are together. I've also been a volunteer baseball coach here in Irvine for over 10 years and have gotten to know people from all the backgrounds that make up our great city. If there was one thing that motivated me to run for IUSD school board, it was the decision to force the students and teachers into a pass-fail grading system during the distance learning last year. I feel this decision took a bad situation and made it worse. Many other districts came up with ways to help those students adversely affected by the shutdown without doing harm to the vast majority of other students. This was also hard for teachers in IUSD. They are the ones best equipped to assess their students, especially during this or any other crisis. It's what we're trained for. I believe when passionate teachers are matched with curious young minds, great things happen. When administration sees its primary role as supporting teachers in their efforts with the students, then great things happen. I see it all the time. I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Cyril Yui.
Thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank Chair Pan, Shuping, Yulan Chang, Mike Chen. It's been a long time since I've been on this side of the camera. In the past, I've been working on that side. My children began at the Irvine Chinese School back in 2009, and back in 2013, I joined the board of directors. I served as your chairman for a number of years after that, and during that time period, we had a great number of accomplishments through the South Coast Chinese Cultural Association and with the Irvine Chinese School. Our cultural center significantly grew during that time period under my leadership. We were able to embark on a number of different programs, partnering with IUSD, with IPSF, continuing the PACE program that has been very vibrant in helping to educate teachers in IUSD and other districts in Chinese culture. We have expanded our curriculum to encompass more education, both for not only Chinese language learning, but also in cultural programming. And we've also embarked on a number of major fundraising programs, including the 40th anniversary of our institution, our school. And those are all things that were accomplished under my leadership on the board. And it's this type of experience that I bring to IUSD, having those connections between both our community as well as the Irvine Unified School District. As I've indicated, I have 2 girls. They are currently attending school in Irvine at Uni High School and at Turtle Rock. Obviously this year things will be a little bit different. But I've been actively involved in our community. I'm very interested in working on these issues, and I have been doing so for a number of years. And so I look forward to sharing those ideas with you today. And thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Sidney Wu.
大家好，我是吴信良，我是台南人，我是台南人。Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much to the South Coast Chinese Cultural Association and all of our sponsors today for hosting this forum. I'm pleased to be here. I am a son of immigrant parents from Taiwan who came here for their graduate studies. I moved to Irvine 30 years ago, in 1990, attending UC Irvine, and then went to get my MBA at Carnegie Mellon University. I've been fortunate to live in Irvine and come back here and buy our first home with my wife, Annie. And we have 2 wonderful sons who have gone to IUSD schools. And I am here today to discuss a little bit about my background. So I have been a soccer coach. I've been a soccer dad on AYSO, and I, was able to volunteer and be with the kids. I've also been a president on our South Irvine Dolphins swim team. So I have been fortunate enough to be a part of our community, be with the kids, and do a lot of things, on the athletic side with them. On top of that, my wife and I are very, very big parts of our school. We're leaders in our PTA and our school foundation. I've been a past president on the Vista Verde Foundation, and over the last decade or so, I've been fortunate enough to also serve as its president for 3 years. During that time period, we were able to raise almost $400,000 for our school to make sure that we get the tools that they need. We've gotten Chromebooks, we've done furniture for collaborative workspaces, and I'm looking forward to continuing the work that I've done with our children in our schools, and to make sure that in this time that they have all the tools that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will be entering question and answer session. For the following questions, I will be calling candidates' name randomly. First question. What special traits, trainings, preparations, or skills do you possess that make you specially qualified for school board? First to answer, Mr. Douglas Euper.
Yes, thank you. I believe that the amount of years that I've spent in the classroom makes me qualified in that I've been one of the teachers who's had to implement the ideas that come from superintendents and school boards. I understand that sometimes their good intentions sometimes make it more difficult for teachers in the classroom, and other times they can help. The best administrators I've ever had were the ones that saw their role as, what can we do to help you teach the students? Because they are the most important thing that we do. And I see teachers that are passionate about what they do amazing things in the classroom. And I'd like to take that to the school board and bring that perspective.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Cyril Yu.
Thank you. Let me start off by saying that one of the things that I had the opportunity to do is serve on the IUSD Finance Committee, and I was an appointee of Sharon Wallen, and we dealt with a number of issues. One was the aftermath of the Great Recession in terms of the financial issues that we contended with, but also I was involved in Measure E. We were tasked with making sure that the bond measure was sufficient for what we needed to accomplish, and to make sure that equity issues were dealt with as we looked at the entire panoply of the 30 some odd campuses we have. And so I think those experiences have helped me in preparing for this, as well as the fact that, as I've talked about earlier, I have connections and relationships with IUSD and with the Chinese community. It's important that we bring forward parental issues in our community and other communities to make sure that everything is handled in an equitable and fair manner as we go through these difficult times. So I believe I have those experiences of having to deal with the financial challenges our district is about to encounter, as well as being cognizant of our different communities and working with them.
Thank you. Next question. What are the top 2 challenges facing the Irvine Chinese district now? Pardon me, I start over. What are the top 2 challenges facing the Irvine School District now and in the next few years? And what is your plan to face these challenges? We will start with Ms. Bethany Huang.
So for the next 2 years, one of the obvious challenges is the COVID-19 pandemic. Not only is student health and safety need to be by priority, distance learning is also very difficult for students. And having gone through a semester of this has been very apparent. I've seen so many students struggle with the format that distance learning has been created as. So I think for facing that challenge is making sure that we are receptive of how students are struggling, how we can fix the problems that come with distance learning. And then another issue would be sex education and making sure that we are being transparent about sex education in Irvine, and making sure that we are communicating with parents well, and making sure that parents know what is being taught to their kids.
Thank you. Next speaker for the same question, Mr. Sidney Wu.
Thank you. So given our current environment, I think two of the things that are really the challenges that we need to face are we need to get our children back in school safely. We are obviously dealing with a situation that we've never had to in the district. We've dealt with the emergency distance learning back in March, and to this point, unfortunately, our children still can't get back into the schools. So we do need to evaluate when it will be safe to get back into the schools with the public health guidelines that will be given to us both by the California Department of Public Health and our local agencies. And the second thing is, given our economic crisis, we need to take a look at funding. And what we need to do is take a look and see what the needs are. We're spending almost $2 million on PPEs coming up. We do need to take a look if there's a shortfall, and also talk to our legislators up in California to see if we can improve on the numbers on our base grants so that we can have the proper funding to get the things that our schools need.
Thank you. Question number 3. The city of Irvine is known for its high quality of life, safe environment, and most importantly, excellent education, and the district that arise from the pandemic. The city of Irvine is known for its high quality of life, safe environment, and most importantly, excellent education and the school system. What is your plan to maintain and improve the education excellence in Irvine, given that the challenge faced by the district that arise from pandemic? Mr. Cyril Yu.
Thank you. Obviously, I think one of the greatest concerns to maintaining educational excellence is ensuring that we have sufficient funding. The governor in his May revise talked about the fact that he would be slashing LCFF funding, which is our key part of our funding, by about 10% for all districts across the state. And already the district has taken on steps to try and address those budget shortfalls, not only this year, but also in the coming years, as this is going to have a rolling effect and impact not only this school year, but the next. And my plan is basically to use as many of our opportunities to get funds to secure that we have sufficient funding. Because you're talking about congressional funding that helps the states, state funding obviously to go towards education, local funding, working with local partners to make sure that we have sufficient funding or can obtain funding through the city of Irvine as we've done in the past. Tapping every opportunity we can. Certainly we have ballot measures on the ballot this year that may help address those shortfalls as well. But that's a key part of maintaining that excellence, is ensuring that our teachers and our schools have those resources.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Bethany Huang, same question.
I think making sure that teachers and other student organizations are well funded is a super important aspect of distance learning during the pandemic. I feel like some teachers may not have enough resources to fully help their students as we're going through a pandemic. And so I think having teacher funding, more teacher funding would be very helpful, as well as making sure that students are well engaged, even though learning will be online, and making sure that these programs are well suited for students and not just a temporary program that will really just create more problems for students rather than solve them.
Thank you. This is the last question before we go into closing statement. The IUSD budget has risen from a 200 million to nearly 400 million in the past 6 years. What are your thoughts on these spending increases? Mr. Sidney Wu, please answer this question.
Yes, thank you for that question. I served on the Irvine Unified School District Finance Committee, and so I'm very familiar with the LCAP and the local funding formula. I would say that given our challenges of being a city that has gone to almost 300,000 people, we definitely need to take a look at the growth and how we go ahead and maintain, our education here in Irvine. Our great schools are going to require people to take a look at that funding and how do we make sure that we manage any shortfalls. Given my experience working with our district leaders and also my experience in the city, I think we can take a look at certain areas in the budget so that we can maintain the current spending levels in order to maximize the use of that and hire better teachers and make sure that our students and teachers get everything they need, including our classified staff. Bottom line is we are a growing city and we need to take a look at that. The budget needs to be managed properly.
All right, thank you. Next person to answer the same question, Mr. Douglas at Euper.
Yes, as already pointed out, obviously Irvine's grown a lot. So the spending and the budget for IUSD has to go up. That doesn't mean that there aren't areas that we could be more efficient with the spending, as well as making sure that there's revenue coming in at the same time to match that. Things will certainly get more difficult during this crisis. The district office needs to take a look, I think, also at how much it's spending. I think the best place for the resources is on the school campuses, on the school sites. That's where the magic happens. That's where the teachers and the students are. It's what we're here for. And I think definitely taking a look at how much money is getting spent and where it's getting spent is important. I think we need to take a look at how we treat athletics also. I know probably all of us can think of many friends who have left the district to go to other schools because they felt they would not get the same training on the athletic field as they do in the classroom.
Right, thank you.
That's a lot of money per student that we lose.
Thank you. This concludes question and answer, and we're moving into closing statement. We will start with the same order. Ms. Bethany Huang, please begin first.
Having gone through Irvine education firsthand, I've seen the many pros and cons of IUSD curriculum. I've seen parents and students benefit from many aspects of Irvine education, but I've also seen their many struggles that can be fixed. My age should not prevent you from voting for me, as my personal experience only allows me to better represent Irvine families. I strongly believe in parent and student choice in their own education and in more transparent leadership and curriculum. More information can be found on my website, BethanyHuangForSchoolBoard.com. My name is Bethany Huang, and to serve as your board member would be an honor. I appreciate your vote. 谢谢大家.
Thank you. Mr. Douglas Euper.
Yes, thank you again for inviting me to this. The schools in Irvine are considered the best in all of Orange County, and it's not a given that it'll stay that way. What I find as a teacher and as a parent makes them the best are the families. It's the kids, the motivated kids that we know our children will be sitting next to in the classroom. It's the teachers. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to an open house or back to school night and been blown away by the passion, by the knowledge, by the energy of those teachers. And we need to make sure that they are allowed, to do their job. And so, ensuring that there is a line that doesn't get crossed, where teachers are doing their best when they determine what their students need. Any situation where teachers are being told what to teach, how to teach it, when to teach it, and how to grade it, our children will suffer. And the district needs to see its role in this. And as I said, the grading change, I don't think the teachers were consulted. Parents certainly were not consulted. It was said that it would do no harm. I disagree. It's going to do great harm. Anybody who's in high school knows their transcripts are going to have a P next to their classes, whereas students in the neighboring districts or in other states will have their letter grades. This was a terrible decision, no matter what the intentions were in making that decision. And I hope for your trust to serve this great school district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cyril Yu.
Thank you again for this wonderful event. These are very unusual times, very challenging times that we're dealing with. And it is going to be a challenge that we take on together as a community, working together. And yes, there were some decisions that were made at the end of last fall that affected student grading. But our priorities are making sure that our students, our parents, our families come together as a community, united, and understanding the value of standing together as a community. My daughter, who is a high school student, understood it when her classmates had to take that sacrifice of reflecting a credit, not credit grade. But they understood it. They understood the value of standing together as a student community for that purpose. And so I am deeply concerned about the health and safety of our teachers, our students, our staff as they go back. I want to make sure there's sufficient funding to ensure that we maintain the excellence that Irvine has had. And I want to make sure that none of our students fall through these cracks. We have special education students. We have students that have housing insecurity, that are dealing with language challenges, that are dealing with challenges at home. Those challenges haven't gone away. And as a district, we need to make sure that we stand by every student in this crisis. And so I know that we only had half hour here. I know that everybody is going to need more information. Please go to my website, Cyril Yu for IUSD.com for more additional information. I also want to tell you that the other board members of this district have stood by me. Sharon Wallen, Lauren Brooks, Paul Bokota, who you'll hear from, and Ira Glaske have all endorsed me to serve as your next trustee for Area 3. And so thank you for your support.
Thank you. Last speaker, Mr. Sidney Wu.
Thank you again for hosting this wonderful event today. I really appreciate the time. These are difficult times here in our school district, and we do need our community to stand together in order to work on solutions. We have a lot of great schools. People move here for that reason. We need to make sure that we continue that here in the city of Irvine. We have more diversity than many cities, and I think we need that diversity on our school board. We would like to have parents who have different opinions and have children who are currently in the district. I think more diversity is good. We want to ensure that our curriculum obviously is up to standard. It's been very tough. Special ed, is going to be something that we have to take a look at, and I believe there are some guidelines coming next week. We have parents who are in a difficult situation. We do have a lot of families who are on reduced and free meals. So we need to take a look at that from the funding aspect and how do we take care of the needs of our community and our students and our teachers. We also need to make sure that in this environment with COVID, we are able to keep all of our teachers and students safe. This is a difficult time for everybody. Our children are not in the classrooms. They're not going to start the fall in the classrooms. A lot of youth athletics are still not where they used to be. And so they are closed off from the real world, and it's very difficult. So we need to take a look at their mental health too and see how do we get there safely so that we can get back to where we were once upon a time in the classroom. We need to make sure to watch our funding because we have a lot of needs, and I appreciate today's time. So thank you very much for inviting me. I hope to be your community leader, and I would really like to be your advocate for our students and our teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes District 3 forum. Chair, would you?
Thank you, Shuping. Yes, and we also want to thank all the candidates for Area 3. And if you want to learn more about these candidates and their statements, feel free to go to our South Coast Chinese Cultural Association's website, which is www.sccca.org. 如果您想知道更多有关于各位候选人的政见，他们也在我们的网站上，您可以去 www.sccca.org。好的，谢谢。Okay, thank you. And now let's meet the candidates from Area 5. 让我们来认识一下第5区的候选人们。Mr. Paul Bokota and Dimitra Arvanitidis. Okay, and again, Shuping, I will hand it to you.
Hi, good. It's good morning. Welcome. So my name is Shuping Yin. I am your moderator, and I am a long-term supporter of Irvine Chinese School and lifetime member of SCCCA. My children also graduate from Irvine Chinese School. I don't live in Irvine, which means I will conduct an unbiased meeting. I will do my best to pronounce your name correctly. If I pronounce it incorrectly, I apologize in advance. At this time, I'd like to start by asking each candidate their 2 minutes opening statement. Let's begin with Paul Bokota.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the SCCA for hosting this event. I'm very honored to be here. My name is Paul Bokota. I'm a current Irvine School Board member. I'm in my second term. So this is my 8th year of doing this. I also, during the day, I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for 28 years, and then every fall, I am a volunteer interviewer and recruiter for Harvard, where I graduated from college. I've been doing that for about 25 years. I've been very happy during my time involved in Irvine, and especially on the school board, for the partnership we've had with SCCA and with the Irvine Chinese School. Mike and Yulan have been phenomenal partners and a tremendous asset to the community, and it's been great for us to work with them for the kids in the community. I'm happy to be endorsed by Cyril Yu, whom you just heard from and who I endorse, Beatrice Sang Chen, who's been very involved with this organization, and by the Irvine Teachers Association, which is a main group representing teachers in Irvine. I've also been very proud to work on the PACE program with other members on the board, with the district and Irvine Chinese School. We've also worked on getting accreditation for the Chinese school so that Mandarin can be recognized as an elective in Irvine schools. And we've worked with Yulan for the K-3 Mandarin immersion program as well. I have 3 kids who all grew up in Irvine and in the Irvine schools. They went K through 12. I think it's important to ask candidates whether they have kids in the schools or whether kids have actually gone to school in Irvine. I've been involved for 19 years in IUSD. I was PTA president, I've been involved in PTA, chairman of the finance committee, school site council member, other things in addition to obviously being on the board. We are obviously facing very difficult times right now. I think that experience absolutely matters. There will be legal issues, facilities issues, delivery and instruction issues, health issues, and other issues that we'll face during COVID and during these times. And I think it's very important now more than ever to have experienced leadership and to have someone who really appreciates and knows IUSD and has the relationships in the community to bring people together to get through what is a very difficult time. Thank you again for having me. I look forward to speaking with you further during this forum.
Thank you. Next speaker, Ms. Dimitra Arvanitidis.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. It's a pleasure to meet all of you, to meet all the candidates, to meet all the people in your organization. My name is Demetra Arvanitidis. I'm a pediatrician. I'm a parent. I've practiced in pediatrics for about 15 years. I was born and raised in San Francisco. To immigrant parents, they're from Greece. They were farmers. They came to the United States for the American dream, and they emphasized education. So all three of us, you know, my sister is a geneticist. She has her own lab at Caltech. My brother is a dentist. He's a businessman. So obviously my parents emphasized education. And that's one of the things that attracted us to Irvine. I mean, obviously, I believe that we're all here for similar reasons, not just the beautiful weather and our great leadership, you know, in the, as mayor and the city council. They do a great job of running the city, but also for the schools. And, you know, we've all invested our money here. We have property here. So it's in all of our interest to maintain, to preserve and maintain a very strong school system. And so I have a public health background as well. I feel that most importantly, it's to keep a level head in these unprecedented times. I mean, I resist giving into panic and fear, and I believe I would add to the school board because I can actually look through the data and sift through everything that we're being told and help parents and help teachers come together and feel at peace in allowing our students to come back, at least maximize the amount of time spent in in-person learning. So thank you.
Thank you. We're now entering question and answer session. For the following question, I will be calling your name randomly. First question. What special character traits, trainings, preparation, or skills do you possess that make you especially qualified for school board? First to answer, Ms. Dimitra Arvanitidis.
Basically, I feel like my educational and work background, I mean, I have worked at the LA Public Health Department. I did needs assessments for teens. I have experience, obviously, in working with kids. I've dedicated my life and my education and my work and my career to advocating for kids. I love kids. I will relentlessly advocate for the health and well-being of kids, not just physical health, but mental health, their developmental health, their relationships with their families. I will also support teachers because I do believe that they are our greatest assets. And we have a common goal of preserving and strengthening our kids' education. So I believe my background, basically, in public health, in medicine, it's vital, as well as a community leader in my church. I mean, I've volunteered as a children's pastor and in multiple business and women's group as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Just to remind us the Q&A, it's 1 minute, okay? So next speaker, Mr. Paul Bokota. Same question.
Sorry about that. I was, can you hear me? Yeah. So one obvious thing is I've actually done this job for 8 years. The job is different than people who have not been on the board often don't understand actually what it entails, the things that the board does and doesn't do, the variety, obviously instructional issues to other issues that we face. So my experience having done the job, I think obviously serves me well. And also the fact that I've been involved in the school district for over 19 years and my kids have gone through the district. I have relationships still with parents, students, and administrators. I think that background in the school district combined with the fact that I've actually done this job will enable me to continue to add value to the district moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. What are the top 2 challenges facing the Irvine School District now and in the next few years? And what is your plan to face these challenges? Ms. Dimitra Arvanitidis.
I think the obvious first one is health. And the second one, a very close second, obviously, is the quality of our kids' education. So number one, you know, as I said, education, you know, knowing the facts about COVID, what we do know, why we don't need to panic, how we can address these issues in a level-headed way where we can really, because we share the common goal of wanting our kids to have the best education possible, maximizing, you know, school time, and basically, I think that's just the most important thing, enabling our teachers to teach our kids in person, educating them about the risks. You know, there'll never be no risk. So the key word is mitigation of risk, decreasing the risk as much as possible, and maximizing on-campus school time education for kids.
Thank you. Next question. Next question, new question. The IUSD budget has risen from 200 million to nearly 400 million in the past 6 years. What are your thoughts on these spending increases, Mr. Paul Bokota?
The budget definitely has increased, and as was discussed earlier, it's largely because of our growth. The way funding works in California, it's basically a funding per child. So as Irvine has grown, the school district has grown by thousands of kids during that time, and the budget thus has grown as well. About 87% of the general fund, which is the main budget that people talk about, goes towards compensation. There's about 13% in addition to compensation, but the growth has largely come through the growth of students and the growth of the population in Irvine. We have benefited greatly. We're the fastest growing district in California, and that growth has also allowed us to fund various things and facilities and other things that we have in the district that we would not otherwise have, since we are otherwise a poorly funded district. So I think the increases have been very appropriate because they match the growth of our students, which has been tremendous, and they're great kids. And also we have been fortunate to have had great leadership in the district to manage those finances very efficiently and prudently. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. New questions. How can the school district better use taxpayers' money to invest in students and teachers instead of something else? First to answer, Ms. Dimitra Arvanitidis.
I love that question because, you know, I think it's so important that parents have a say in the curricula. You know, we see being passed at the state level certain curricula that if parents really knew the content of that curricula, I don't believe that they would want their taxpayer money going to fund these curricula. And they're being sort of, passed sneakily, I believe, in under the guise of social justice issues and health education. So I feel like transparency and communication and education of parents, of teachers, is so important to know what these proposed curricula consist of, so that they know where their taxpayer money would go to. And I would not support curricula like that.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Paul Bokota.
Sorry about that, still muted. As I mentioned, the large majority of the budget in Irvine, as is true in most districts, goes to compensation. So we focus very much on hiring, retaining, training, and keeping great teachers. And that's something that's absolutely critical to maintaining a great district. We constantly look for ways to fund other programs. Whenever there are potential budget cuts that need to be made, we always look first to say, how can we keep those cuts away from the classroom? Many of the curriculum decisions that are made at a state level. That is not something that school boards can affect. We have some latitude and discretion as to what types of textbooks we use, but the standards in the general curriculum are set at the state level. At the local level, which is what we're talking about here, we continue to use that money to look at other innovative ways we can teach, appropriate technology, appropriate support for mental health, appropriate support for kids at both the AP level and kids who may be struggling and need additional support. We've invested significant money in those programs to ensure that we can support kids at all levels, and we'll continue to do that going forward.
Thank you. This concludes a question and answer. We are moving into closing statement. And let's begin with the Paul Pogoda. Closing statement, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. And thanks again to SCCA for hosting this event. I very much appreciate it. Every time I come here, I'm always glad to be here, even if it's virtual. As I mentioned, I've been on the board for 8 years, and I'm proud to have served the board and served this community, and proud of the accomplishments of the board, the district, our kids, and our teachers. We've been the top performing district in the state for many years. The past 2 years, with the new testing that's come out for math and English and language arts, we've been one of the top performing districts on those tests. We continue to send kids to great schools. We continue to have our children excel and do exceptionally well. Half of the youth ensemble at the Pacific Symphony Orchestra, 152 out of 220, more than half of those kids are our kids, IUSD kids. Over the past 4 years, we've invested over $14 million in safety and security, in radios and earthquake preparedness, in access doors and things to keep our kids safe in every way possible. We've invested $15 million towards mental health. That's key during COVID and key at all times. We have many kids who have significant mental health issues. We've invested in mental wellness counselors, additional support at the schools, additional curriculum and programs that help us to support our kids. We built 5 new world-class schools, more than any other district in the state. And we've done all of that while balancing the budget in a very fiscally responsible way. I'm very proud of that. We are facing incredibly complex times this year and next year. Cyril mentioned that the next budget year will be even more challenging than the current school year. I think experience dealing with all of the issues that school districts actually face and what school board members actually do, not what some people think they should be doing, but I think that experience is important. Equally as important as we talk about building community and getting through this together in difficult times are the relationships that I've been fortunate enough to have built with people from SCCA, the Irvine Chinese School, and throughout the community. And I think those relationships will continue to be even more critical than they have been. I look forward to using my experience to continue to serve this district. I'd be honored to have your vote, and I thank you very much for having me here today. It's always my honor and my pleasure.
Thank you. Next speaker, Ms. Dimitra Arvanitidis.
Yes, thank you again for inviting me. It was a pleasure to speak to all of you and to meet all the candidates. You know, we live in unprecedented times, and I believe these unprecedented times cause for new leadership. So we can't do things the way that we've done in the past. Obviously, we need new ideas, new methods. We need new people, I believe, who will relentlessly advocate for your kids, and that's me. So I will, if you want somebody to relentlessly advocate for your children and to preserve the high level of education that Irvine is famous for, then I would ask for your vote. I'm not a politician, I'm not a seasoned politician, but actually I'm proud of that because I'm just a parent and a citizen that cares. I have many years of experience working with kids and parents and families. So I feel that just because I haven't had a political position in the past, I work with parents every single day. That's my job. It's my job to create relationships with families. It's my job to educate parents. It's my job to protect kids. And that's exactly what I'll do if you vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes area 5. Yeah. And Chair, please take it over.
Thank you so much, Shuping, for being our moderator. And we want to thank all the candidates for coming today, for joining us, for sharing your views, and most importantly, for sharing your love and passion for Irvine. 我们今天非常感谢所有的候选人来参加我们的问政会。那么如果您还想更了解他们的证件的话，可以在我们的网站上面看到他们的 candidate statement. If you want to learn more about the candidates, you can go to our website, which we have collected all their candidates statements. Okay, thank you so much again, and we really want to thank all the participants and audience, as well as our co-organizers for making today's forum possible. Okay, before we leave, we do want to share a very informative presentation from the Orange County Register of Voters. 那么我们今天在结束之前呢，我们想跟大家分享一个有关于选举跟投票的信息，请大家 stay tuned。好，谢谢。那我们下次活动再见。Thank you all very much. We'll see you next time.